I'm not sure how many of you all are aware of this, but there were major 911 outages in several states all across America last night. And I didn't get a chance to record a full video about it, but I did report about this over on X or Twitter. So if you haven't already, you guys should really be following me over there, because sometimes I don't have the time to make a full video about every single news story, and there's breaking news happening 24/7 around the world, and I don't discriminate. I report on a little bit of everything. So there's no telling when I'll be reporting on a breaking news story that may affect you or pertain to, somewhere where you live, basically. So if you haven't already, go follow me over on Twitter or X. But like I was saying, there were these major 911 outages, and we never really got an explanation as to what was going on. I automatically thought that maybe this was a cyber attack, but like I said, there was never really an explanation given. I went to sleep and then I woke up to a new warning from the FBI. So I'm not saying that this is tied together. All I'm saying is that we had these major 911 outages last night, and then this morning, the FBI director just issued this major warning about Chinese hackers apparently preparing to attack U.S. infrastructure. Now, I've been warning you guys about cyber attacks and these hackers for a couple of years now. And even though you might not realize it, America is basically under cyber attack almost like 24/7 these days. Some cyber attacks are more effective than others. Not that long ago, they were able to take down some pharmacies, and people had trouble getting their medicines, and you never know where a cyber attack could occur. It could happen at a dam, and it could cause the dam to overflow or something like that. Or they could cyber attack Papa John's and to make sure that they deliver everyone pineapples on their pizza, even though a lot of people hate pineapples on pizza, you know what I mean? But I love pineapples on pizza. I just want to make that clear. Let me know if you like pineapples on pizza down in the comments below. But anyways, this is not about pizza. Let's not let the fat guy in me take over. We must report the news. So the FBI put out this warning this morning that it's past, honestly, the way they worded this warning, it's not really even a warning anymore. It's like, hey, this is already happening. There's nothing we can do about it. We're basically just waiting on them to pull the trigger. That's the way this warning sounded to me. But let me know what you think as I read you all this piece of information. Chinese government-linked hackers have burrowed into U.S. critical infrastructure and are waiting for just the right moment to deal a devastating blow, says FBI Director Christopher Wray on Thursday. So let's go ahead and pause right there. So the way they're making it seem is like, oh, they already hacked into the infrastructure. We can't get rid of them. There's nothing we can do but sit here like sitting ducks, awaiting, just waiting patiently for them to attack us and disable this or disable that, or Lord knows what could happen. Let's go forward though. An ongoing Chinese hacking campaign known as Vault Typhoon has finally successfully gained access to numerous American companies in telecommunications, energy, water, and other critical sectors, with 23 pipeline operators targeted, Wray said in a speech on Thursday. China is developing the ability to physically wreak havoc on our critical infrastructure at a time of its choosing, Wray said. Its plan is to land blows against civilian infrastructure to try to induce panic. Wray said it was difficult to determine the intent of this cyber pre-positioning, which was aligned with China's broader intent to deter the U.S. from defending Taiwan. China claims democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory and has never renounced the use of force to bring the island under its control. Taiwan strongly objects to China's claims and says only the island's people can decide their future. Earlier this week, a Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson said Volt Typhoon was in fact unrelated to China's government, but it is part of a criminal ransomware group. In a statement, China's embassy in Washington referred to the MFA spokesperson's comment. Some in the U.S. have been using origin tracing of cyber attacks as a tool to hit and frame China, claiming the U.S. to be the victim while it's the other way around, and politicizing cybersecurity issues. Ray argued that there has been far too little public focus on Chinese hackers targeting critical infrastructure in the U.S., such as water treatment plants, electrical grids, oil and natural gas pipelines, and even transportation systems. And the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now, he said. The Volt Typhoon malware enabled China to hide, among other things, pre-operational reconnaissance and network exploitation against critical infrastructure like our communications, energy, transportation, and water sectors. Steps China was taking, in other words, to find and prepare to destroy or degrade the civilian critical infrastructure that keeps us safe and prosperous on a daily basis. Ray emphasized that the cyber onslaught of Chinese hackers goes way beyond pre-positioning for future conflict, saying in the prepared remarks that the hackers are actively attacking U.S. economic security every day, engaging in wholesale theft of our innovation and our personal and corporate data. And they don't just hit our security and economy, they target our freedoms, reaching inside our borders across America to silence, coerce, and threaten our citizens and residents. You know, I understand that these hackers pose a real threat to America. I would never, ever, ever downplay that threat because it is something that I take extremely seriously. It's something that I've been warning people about, talking about it until I'm blue in the face, because a lot of people can't wrap their minds around stuff like this yet. You know, when people, still to this day, when people think of warfare, it's like they think of freaking muskets, swords, cavalry. You know, it's like it's 2024, folks. Warfare isn't going to be fought on the battlefield for much longer. Okay? Warfare is being fought every day through different means. We have the technology now to battle people. You know, cybernetic warfare going on that a lot of us can't understand. And to be clear, I'm not trying to sit here telling you that I can understand all of this either, because I cannot. The stuff is complicated. But just because it's complicated and you don't understand it and I don't fully understand it, doesn't mean that it's not happening. It is happening every single day. But these closing comments of his kind of gave me an iffy feeling, because he's talking about how these cyber attacks are going to target Americans' freedoms, and it's going to silence Americans, coerce Americans, and threaten American citizens and residents. And I kind of feel like our own government is doing that to us right now. You know, I get that the average person may not understand what's going on, but like, as a YouTuber, as someone that tries to, you know, use the freedom of speech on a daily basis to communicate with you all various information and various news stories going throughout the world, I feel handcuffed and shackled. And I'm not handcuffed or shackled by Chinese freaking hackers. I'm handcuffed and shackled by my own people who will sit here and preach about the importance of the freedom of speech while literally yanking the freedom of speech from underneath our feet. I find that a lot of people in our government, a lot of these politicians that love talking about the freedom of speech, They only support the freedom of speech when it's backing their ideologies or their beliefs. When you speak against that, oh, the freedom of speech ain't so free anymore. So yeah, I do worry about what Chinese hackers can do to America, of course. But I'm more worried about what the FBI will do. FBI is warning us about Chinese hackers. Well, what about y'all? What about how y'all are cracking down on American citizens for simply expressing themselves? Why is it that I'm not allowed to freely say what I want to say? And often it's stuff that's not like far out there. Literally. We are handcuffed. And the average person will never realize how handcuffed we are, because the average person is never put in a position to where they even can try to freely express themselves amongst thousands of people. You know, if you want to say this and say that to your friend, okay, but as long as you don't gather a crowd, because once you gather a crowd, or you may sway people into thinking like you, or you may sway people with your opinions, then that becomes threatening. Then the freedom of speech doesn't matter anymore, unless you're going along with the talking points that you're given. You know what I mean? But we've I feel like as the American people, I feel like we've been put in a very odd position. It's obvious that the outside world is out to get us. And when you're number one, that's just the case. I mean, look, even in sports, when you're the number one team in sports, you're the team to beat. If you just won the Super Bowl, every team is, ready. They're ready to play you and beat you, right? So here in America, we've been like the number one world superpower for a while now. And there's still competition going on. People want to reclaim that top spot. People want to grab that crown. People want to grab that throne, right? So we're living in interesting times where we have all of these enemies all across the world that we have to deal with. But unlike, say World War II, where all of us as Americans were together looking at some foreign country as the enemy, we're having to deal with our enemies overseas at a time where we don't trust our own neighbors. We don't trust our own, because it's evidently clear that some of our own are working against us too. So I feel like America right now, and all of us as Americans, are put in this odd position to where we're constantly being told about these threats from overseas while we're facing direct threats right here on our soil. And that's just an odd position to be put in. And it makes these threats from the FBI and the military, they come with these warnings. And it's not that I don't believe that these warnings are true. It's just at the same time, I don't feel like y'all have our best interest at heart either. You know what I mean? So if you're going to warn us about what China is doing, why don't you warn us about what you're doing right now? Because it's probably even worse. But with all of that being said, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you would like to donate, you could donate via CashApp or Super Thanks, or you could help the channel for free by sharing the video, liking, and subscribing. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.